a surprise to see us on Saturday instead of on Friday. But as you also know, when we have even half the stature of this woman that we're sitting right here with now, Jane Elliot, we will get on the road, we'll do what we have to do just to have an opportunity to talk about things with you. And so we really appreciate you meeting with us.
So Jane Elliot on Mr. Zuckerman's page on Facebook.
Really?
He's a hater. Cut me off because I am too incendiary.
Incendiary, I love that word.
Yes, I am incendiary. I'm going to light a fire under the racists. I'm going to burn those suckers down.
Oh,
I love it.
Baby, burn, no. So speaking of what she just said, so what motivated you to burn all the racists out? What sparked that for you?
Martin Luther King Jr. was one of our heroes of the month in February. Talk about this because it takes me back to that day when I came home from school with the teepee under my arm that we were going to paint the next day. My previous year's third graders had made it. We were studying the Indian unit, and I was going to wash and dry and iron that teepee so that we could put it up the next day. And my telephone was ringing, and he had been one of our heroes of the month in February, along with George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, who was our first black president that nobody knows about, Davy Crockett, and Daniel Boone. Those are our heroes of the month in February. And I walked in the house, the telephone was ringing. I answered the telephone, it was my sister. She said, "Is your television on?" I said, "No." She said, "You better turn it on." I said, "Why?" She said, "Because they shot him." And I said, "Who'd we shoot this time?" Because we were in a shooting mood at that time. We shot those who disagreed with us. We shot JFK, and then they took care of Malcolm X. And now they had taken, and she said, Martin Luther King Jr. And then the world stopped for a minute. I tell you, the world stopped spinning for a minute. I couldn't believe what I just heard. So I got the kids fed and the teepee washed and dried, and I spread it out on the living room floor, and I was ironing it, and I was watching television, and there was Walter Cronkite saying to 3 leaders of the black community, "When our leader was killed, his widow held us together. Who's going to keep your people in line?" Now that is an exact quotation from that man. I thought, my God, how can he be so insensitive? Our leader? Was JFK only the leader of white folks? I didn't think he was. His widow held us together. See how civilized we are? Right. Who's going to keep your people in line? Now, see, I thought black people were my people. I thought that we were all related. I thought that in the Bible it talks about the family of man, and it never talks about race in the Bible. There's only one reference to race, and it has nothing to do with skin color. Right. I was just furious, so I changed the channel, and there's Dan Rather saying to 3 black males, "Don't you Negroes think you should feel sorry for us white people because we can't feel the anger at this killing that you Negroes can?" Wow. And at that point, see, how could you know about the deliberate killing of a black man whose message was not kill white folks? Right. His message was hope for all of us. And love. He was a man of hope, and for me, hope is an acronym for holding on to positive energy. Right. That's what hope spells for me. It didn't spell that for Dan Rather, and I thought, I can't do this. I can't watch these 2 males anymore. So I rolled up the teepee. I threw it into the closet. May I have a Kleenex, please? Did you find one?
Some tissue?
I don't think
there's some.
there is.
Yeah, there's some out here someplace. Anyway, I thought you were going to give me that to wipe my nose on. Anyway, at that moment, I knew my kids were supposed to learn the Sioux Indian prayer that says, "Oh, Great Spirit, keep me from every jot." There is a box of Kleenex here somewhere.
That's on my purse.
It's all right. Just bring me some toilet paper.
Okay, that's all right.
Here, this is good. This will work. Hey, if you can wipe the rest of it.
Was it the service, Jimmy?
All right, here you go. Anyway.
Oh, it did?
Thank you.
So the next morning, we were going to learn the Sioux Indian prayer that says, "Oh, Great Spirit, keep me from ever judging a man until I've walked a mile in his moccasins." I decided that the next morning, I was not only going to teach them that prayer, I was going to arrange to have it answered for them. I was going to allow some of my students to walk in the shoes of a child of color in my classroom for a day. Now, I'm a racist. Make no mistake about this. I know how to be a racist. I was born, raised, and schooled at a time when it was all right. In fact, it was expected that you be a racist. So I know how to be one. Right. So the next morning, I told my husband when he came home from work, He said, they shot him, didn't they? I said, yes. He said, what are you going to do? And I told him, he said, you're going to lose your job. I said, well, if I lose my job because I'm teaching my students the truth, I don't want to teach in this community. He said, the kids need the money. We need the money to raise these kids. You better think about it. Yeah, absolutely. You know, that was what it was.
A realist,
We
right.
needed two incomes. We had 4 kids in 5 years. Then we found out what was causing that. We didn't stop what was causing that, but we did stop having children. But he knew that we needed the money to raise those kids. So I said, I'm going to do it, Daryl. So I got up the next morning, headed for school. As I went out the door, he said, are you still going to do that thing? I said, yes. He said, you're going to lose your job. And I went out quickly so you wouldn't see the tears in my eyes because I thought my husband should support me in that.
I wondered how that all went.
And he couldn't support me in that because he knew Riceville better than I did, and he knew people better than I did. I had been raised by a man who said, a man's judged by the company he keeps, and the best of company's none too good. And I was raised by a man who said, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And he said, and a right wrongs no man. He'd say, it might impoverish you, it might inconvenience you, but it won't wrong you. And he'd say, you know the difference between right and wrong, now do the right thing, goddammit. So you did the right thing. You know, and some people, damn it, but that wasn't a swear word for him. That was, here's the way to behave, now do it.
That's it.
And so you did it. So here I am going to school, and in comes the first student in the room. Stephen Armstrong came in and said, they shot that king last night, Elliott. Why'd they shoot that king? I said, we're going to talk about that, Stephen. So after we had done the first thing you have to do in the morning, first you have to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag with the words under God in it.
Oh my.
Now, when you were young and learned the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, the words under God weren't in it. I'll bet you anything. And I'll bet you they weren't in there when you were young.
They were.
I think
They were?
I'm older than you think. Yes, absolutely. That we're still part of.
They were when you were
One
in
nation
school?
under
Yes.
God.
Oh, wait a minute.
With liberty and justice
Dwight
for all.
Eisenhower put the words under God into the pledge, and he was the president in what, 1952?
I was born in '53.
You're right. I'm the oldest person in the world.
Oh no.
I'm older than dirt. You're right. You are
She's
absolutely
older
right.
than Black Pepper.
What?
So she's older than Black Pepper. You.
But you see, if you're going to compare it to pepper,
That is funny.
I'm older than salt. How do you like that? None of us are older than cinnamon, okay?
Right, right.
Anyway,
Yeah, right.
so we did the Pledge of Allegiance, the words under God. I'll remember that. And then we sang God Bless America, which is a prayer, but it's a fun thing to sing. And then I said, now, how do you folks feel about the killing of Martin Luther King Jr.? And we started to talk about it. I finally asked these kids, what do you know? Have you ever been around black people? No. What do you know about black people? And they told me all the negative stereotypes that I had ever heard and some that I had never heard of. And I said, how do you kids know these things are true? And every one of them said, because my dad said so.
Right.
Now,
That's where it starts.
right, no, it starts in the delivery room.
Yeah.
Because there are places in the United States of America, and that includes Los Angeles, where if you're a black woman having a baby or a brown woman having a baby, you don't get treated the same as white women who are in the same situation. And I didn't know that until last fall. A group of midwives, registered nurses, called me and asked me to come and talk to them. And I said, hey, I've been delivered of 4 babies in 5 years. I don't know anything about medicine. They said, that's not what we want you to talk about. We want you to talk about racism because we know that black and brown women don't get the same treatment in the delivery room as white women do, and we want to be the ones who deliver the babies so that everybody gets the same fair treatment. Now think about that. And there, we start with you prenatally, and we don't stop with you after you're dead, because there are still cemeteries in the United States of America where no black person is allowed to be buried.
Yes.
We still have that.
I didn't know
crap.
that.
You didn't know that?
That's still?
See, the things that we don't know are killing us every day.
Every
Right.
day.
Every day you learn something that you should have learned a long time ago.
You're right.
You should have learned, you should never have learned that Columbus discovered America.
Right.
You
right
can't
about that.
discover a place where people are already living. They discovered it before you got here. And black people, which we call Native Americans, were here 10,000 years before Columbus was born.
Okay.
10,000 years. And if every white person, the so-called white person, that's another thing you need to know.
You have so much information. It just
Because we all
I'm
came
sorry,
from
but-
a black person.
Yeah, there's
Right.
no such thing.
Right.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a white person. That is the word that was used during the Spanish Inquisition because the people, Torquemada and company, who were running the Spanish Inquisition were trying to turn everybody Catholic. And they killed people if they didn't become Catholics. And they realized after they killed a bunch of them that they had killed a whole bunch of Christians. And they decided you couldn't tell what a person's religion was by looking at them.
Right.
So they had to find another way to determine who it would be all right to kill. And they set upon skin color. And that was in the early 1600s. You have to know that we have been lied to consistently, and we are still doing it. And we have to put a stop to this. If I trace my DNA back far enough, I will find some DNA that came from a country in Africa.
Yes.
On the continent of Africa. Africa isn't a country, it's a continent. But there are, 100 and some countries in Africa. But my nephew, who's adopted, but he's my nephew, stopped me after a family meeting a year ago, and he said, Jane, I got to tell you something. I said, what's going on, Tim? He said, I traced my DNA back, and I am 0.0001% from Nigeria.
Of course.
I said, Tim,
No
we were
surprise.
right, weren't we? And we high-fived one another, which we all about the black people. And he said, yeah, isn't it wonderful? It's just wonderful. He's grinning all over his face. And I said, Tim, did you tell that to your Uncle Sam? He said, oh no. He knows which ones to share that information with. And there are people with whom you do not share that information.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really interesting experience. To death, and so was I.
Yes.
Because if we'd all trace our DNA back far enough,
We'll find that we have
not
a lot
only
more in
would you
common.
have to believe what I'm telling you, but we are, in fact, all 30th to 50th cousins.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you haven't read the book, The Myth of Race by Robert Wald Sussman, everybody needs to get it and read it.
Yes.
The only thing wrong with the book is he called it The Myth of Race. Now, a myth is something that you make up to explain some natural phenomenon that you can't explain. So you make up a myth. Like the Greeks had a myth that said that the sun is a golden chariot that carries a god across the sky every morning. It's a myth. It's made up to explain something in nature. A lie is something you make up to justify undesirable behaviors that you're exhibiting. A lie to give the people who want to put people down and to want to make money off their bodies is a lie. It is not a myth, it is a lie, and it has been used in this country right till the present time. Our system is built on the lie of several different races.
Yeah.
Say that.
Only
yes.
one race. You have to read Anthony Browder's book, Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization. Have you read it?
No, ma'am.
Oh my God.
It's on our list.
Don't worry. I was going to say, I'm paying attention to every gem you drop in here today.
absolutely.
Picking it up, putting it in my
Right.
pocket.
But
And how
no, don't you pick
appropriate.
it in your pocket. You put it in your kids' minds and your nieces and nephews' minds and your grandchildren's minds, and you make sure that they read Anthony Browder's Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization. It is going to blow you away when you realize that 4,000 years before the birth of Jesus Christ, people in Egypt were doing cataract surgery with metal instruments. 4,000 years before the birth of Jesus Christ.
Oh my! Well, how did they build the pyramids? I mean,
Because they were brilliant.
Exactly.
Because they were brilliant, because they were ambitious, because they
Right.
were creative, because they were curious, because they were so curious and so courageous that those people that started in sub-Saharan Africa between 300,000 and 500,000 years ago were able to travel across the world and populate every landmass on the face of the earth. Every landmass on the face of the earth was populated by those black people. And the only reason I have skin this color is because some of my ancestors moved farther and farther and farther from the equator. And the farther we skins got, and hair and our eyes, because we were exposed to less and less sunlight.
Yep.
That's the reason for skin color. People
Right.
have
That's
to
it. It's location.
stop talking out of the wrong end of their heads. And stop. We just have to put a stop to this.
Yes.
We have to stop telling this lie.
And I think that's what being here with you and listening to all the gems that you drop, and I feel like that is what's going to stop it. Because a lot of the things that you
Instead of the lie. And that's the reason they're out they're doing the protesting. They're protesting because they feel sorry for black people. They're protesting because they know that the situation is wrong, and what happened to those two black men today could happen to me And I've been threatened with that lots of times.
That's
yeah.
my question.
Oh yeah,
That's my question.
They took me out of Uniontown, Pennsylvania at midnight one night because of we had put the teachers through the blue-eyed, brown-eyed exercise the day before in a very modest way, and they called the superintendent and said, if you don't get that bitch out of town, we're going to shoot her.
Oh my!
So the next day it was
wow.
really ugly. And
that
they were
was my
furious.
question. And your husband and the community here in Riceville, I guess. What was the reaction? Death threats, or did you lose your job?
Riceville threatened to kill me because they knew they wouldn't dare, because they wouldn't dare. That wouldn't look good for Riceville. But I've been threatened with death by lots of people.
Oh, okay.
And I go to a college, and there are those 3 little boys down there in about the 3rd row, and they've got those red caps on with the white letters on it that say
Lord.
"Make America Hate Again."
Oh, yes.
It says "Make America Great Again," but it means "Make America Hate Again."
That's what it means.
Make
to
no mistake
every-
about that.
most
And
people.
they're talking about, and they're pointing at me, and they're talking. I stop and I say, "Look, fellas, I know what you're talking about. You'd like to see me dead because of what I do to try to decrease the level of racism in this country. Let me warn you about something. You can kill me. I don't care. My husband is dead, and my oldest son is dead. That's okay. Go ahead. But you need to know, if you kill me because of what I'm doing, you might make a martyr out of me, and then you might have to spend the rest of your lives celebrating Jane Elliot Day once a year."
Absolutely.
There you go.
And then they all go, no,
Now that's deep
you
right
don't want
there.
to do that. No. Then shut up and listen.
Yeah.
And then they shut up and listen. And all the black kids look at them.
Okay.
Like, watch your
Say something to
mouth
Cousin
now.
Jane.
Yeah, say something. You want to suffer tomorrow? Open your head again.
So when I came in, I was choked up. I saw you kind of tear up about Martin Luther King, but you kind of explained to me, I've been calling myself biracial all these years.
Don't ever do it again. You aren't.
Teach.
Yeah.
Well, we in the church preach.
Yeah. First, we're going to sing "How Great Thou Art." Okay. No, we've got to stop using the language of the 15th and 16th century.
I love it.
We've got to use words that apply and are true to this century. We're in the 21st century. Unless you're willing to go back to the 21st century in how you travel, how you heat your home, what kind of home you live in, what kind of medicines or illnesses you're willing to have. If you want to go back to the 15th and 16th century, keep on using words out of the 15th and 16th century. Like biracial.
Okay.
Biracial is something we called people before we realized that there's only one race.
Thank you.
And that's the human race.
Yeah.
In order for you to be, you had to have one parent at least that came from outer space.
Okay, well, my
And
daddy was a little different. But
Well, well, how different was he?
no, not that different.
Was he green?
I was like, was he green?
Was he purple?
No,
Did he
ma'am.
have 3 ears?
No, ma'am.
Well, then, and could he walk and talk and chew gum at the same time?
Yes,
Well,
all of
then
that.
he wasn't from outer space, was
Okay,
he?
okay.
We've got to get rid of words like biracial and multiracial.
Yeah.